Historically, India was always religiously and culturally diverse. As a result, its secularism is oriented on multiple values. To understand the current situation, it's important to consider how India gained its independence from the British in 1947, and the partition of India into two states, India and Pakistan, not to forget Bangladesh and waves of migration to and from Pakistan and Bangladesh. It was accompanied with many religious conflicts. The first Prime Minister of India, Nehru, was a secular humanist. His policy influenced the Indian model of secularism immensely. It is important to point out that religion in India permeated almost everything. Therefore, the government decided not to build a wall between the state and religion. The Indian model of secularism originally sought to protect both non-believers and believers of different religions from each other. There was no hostility to religion here. It was clear that its presence in the public space is difficult to avoid. Therefore, there is no such clear separation of religion from the state. It is even permissible for the authorities to interfere in the affairs of religion. For example, the constitution abolished the principle of untouchability, and people of all castes can visit any temples. Also, India is very diverse. In some states, Hinduism prevails, in some Sikhism or Jainism, in some there are many Buddhists or Muslims. Therefore, in various places, a local government can take a different approach towards religious practices. It contrasts much with Goa states, for instance. That is the only state in India that has uniform civil code, equal for all. But there are states where Indian Muslims may apply laws regarding inheritance or marriage and divorce according to Sharia law, rather than local secular law. On the one hand, this speaks of respect for pluralism and the rights of religious minorities, but critics say that this approach violates the principle of equality for all before the law. Therefore, some believe that India is not a true secular state. They call this model pseudo-secularism. Some say that a unified civil code is important for India, others criticize it. Nowadays, under the government of Narendra Modi, who is an advocate of Hindu nationalism, it creates additional problems. The law can be biased towards promoting Hinduism. For instance, Rajeev Bhargava is praising Indian secularism as one of the best models. He believes this model may be a response to the challenges faced by modern secularism. To him, it appears as a special ethical and moral position directed not against religion, but against religious homogenization and institutionalized domination, inter- and intra-confessional. In other words, that no single religion can get a special treatment and all of them are equally respected. At the same time, another Indian author, Sumantra Bose, is more critical of Indian model of secularism, since it favors majority faith over minority faiths, especially Islam. It promotes idea that the Indian secular state is rooted in a uniquely tolerant Hinduism. Such exceptionalism could lead to a dangerous logical conclusion that if Hinduism is so wonderful, there is no need for a secular state at all. If the intrinsic nature of Hinduism is so peaceful and beautiful, it will ensure a paradise for all Hindus and non-Hindus alike. And it makes some people believe that all we need is a Hindu state, and as a result it creates a foundation for Hindu nationalism. Therefore, nowadays we see some nationalist organizations that demand that India should be declared a Hindu state, not a secular state. Another scholar, Tariq Modood, writes that Rajeev Bhargava thinks that moderate secularism should be replaced by the diversity-friendly secularism that developed in India. But Modood disagrees with Bhargava, because Bhargava does not discuss how the Indian state has failed to eradicate a high level of religious violence in India and failed to protect Muslims from massacres and systematic discrimination. So, as we see it, Indian model of secularism has its strong and weak points. On one hand, this model does not imply any hostility towards the presence of religion in public space. It does not build a wall between state and religion, and it seeks to protect all the different believers and non-believers from each other. Therefore, to some it may look as a hybrid of the French and American models. But on the other hand, it doesn't really appear as a compromise agreement between different groups and different values. Vice versa, this approach violates the principle of equality of all before the law and favors some above the other. It creates a platform for discrimination and is not able to deal practically with religious conflicts and favoritism. Sometimes the state exercises its power over religion when it requires to abolish some religious concepts and practices, for example, to abolish untouchability and caste system, or to allow people of lower caste to enter any Hindu temple, or to make illegal to support, glorify, or attempt to commit sati, which is a practice in which a widow sacrifices herself at her husband's funeral. But on the other hand, it allows some people to rely on their religious laws to gain, for instance, unequal inheritance rights, or when males can get a superior or favorable rights during a divorce process. For example, according to Indian Muslim personal law, a Muslim man is not required to pay alimony to his wife after a divorce. Please see Shahbano case for more details. So, do you see the Indian model of secularism as exemplary one or as a problematic one? Please leave a comment below and consider to like and subscribe, and check my other videos on this topic.